All right, welcome to Turd Talks, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Musty. With me is my co-host, Brittany. Say hi, Brittany. All right, we're going to be talking some turds today. Episode 1, we're going to be talking about shofars. Now, Brittany, take it away. What is a shofar, Brittany? Okay, no problem. That's okay. I'm pulling one up on screen here. Okay, it can be other animals as well. hmm Okay, right, like we see on screen here. Yep. hmm Okay.
The Day of Trumpets, which represents the second coming of the Messiah, the
Okay.
Day of Atonement, which represents the Judgment Day, Feast of Tabernacles, which represents the millennial reign,
Oh, okay.
and then finally the Sabbath Day.
All right. So those are all the different
Um,
things that they can represent, the different
yeah,
meanings.
now, yeah, and also like the Jewish community
hmm
blows them too. You know what I'm saying? It's not just like
It's not just a Hebrew thing.
that's it's not just a Hebrew thing. It's not just a Jewish thing. It's Christians. Because in the Bible, um, like the shofar was blasted to represent the gathering of believers,
Okay.
like or going into battle, or the return of the Messiah, Jesus Christ. And in Exodus 19:13,
hmm
this is the example why Christians use the shofar. Not a hand shall touch him, but he shall surely be stoned or shot with an arrow. Whether man or beast, he shall not live with the trumpet sound long. They shall come near the mountains. Joshua 6:5 says, "It shall come to pass, and they make a long blast with the ram's horn, shofar, and when you hear the sound of the trumpet, that all the people shall shout with a great shout, then the wall of the city will fall down flat, and the people shall go up, every man straight before him." And what they're talking about is the walls of Jericho.
Walls of
So they
Jericho,
marched
yes.
around blowing the shofars.
Blowing
And
for
also,
for 7 days, was it not?
yes.
Yes.
So the shofar is a biblical instrument, and we
hmm
blow it to represent the gospel, the feast days, the second coming of the Messiah Jesus
Right.
Christ.
So really, it has multiple purpose, but it is a biblical instrument.
Yes,
Okay.
like to come. This is why most Christians blow the shofar, or it's a type of worship, or it screams victory, or you're going into battle. But to what's coming in the future, in the book of Job, chapter 2, verse 1, it says, blow the trumpet in Zion and sound the alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord is coming, for it is at hand. So that's why you see a lot of Christians now blowing the shofar, or when you hear it, that's what it means to us, because in Scripture, you're going to hear a shofar sound, which means the Lord's returning.
Okay. So that the modern day meaning and interpretation of hearing a shofar, that's what that would mean.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So we're going to put up a couple of different examples of some strange noises being heard around the world right now, different places. Some people might like to speculate whether this could be shofar or not, but we're going to let you all decide. We're going to listen now. Here's one coming out of Israel.
The strange sounds were heard across Terrace, BC early yesterday morning and lasted for about 10 minutes. Speculation about what caused it ranges from the aurora borealis to aliens, or it could just be a prank. But similar sounds have been recorded in other parts of BC and reported in
This was
other
actually BC,
locations
sorry.
around the world.
Hello, thrill seekers, and welcome back to Legend Discoveries. Today's episode delves into a fascinating auditory mystery that's been stirring up fear and confusion globally. Our focus for today, the eerie, unexplained sounds echoing across the skies in Israel and beyond. First things first, let's describe the chilling phenomena many people are reporting. Imagine this. You're going about your day, and suddenly you hear an earth-shaking sound, a sonic spectacle like a chorus of trumpets, or a cacophony of crashing metallic noises. But here's the catch. There's no visible source for these bone-rattling sounds. They seem to appear out of nowhere, reverberating through the air, powerful enough to be heard over vast distances. It's like the very fabric of reality is resonating with an eerie melody.
All right, real talk. Facing our
There's one. Let me pull up. There's one that I was watching. Let's while we're looking, a scene where Fear said he couldn't hear me, and I want to know if that's still.
Let us know. Mic check, everybody. Let us know my audio, Brittany's audio. Let us know how it sounds. I might have to turn Brittany up a little bit, so say something there, Britt.
That's the first. Had to turn me up. Most people try to turn me down. Turn down for what? Turd.
Right, sure. I don't know if there's.
I'm gonna look at this.
Yep.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You look that up.
I'm just making sure that the audio is good till I'm just gonna go silent till we get an answer
Gotcha.
for a second.
If anything, I might have to turn you up a little touch on here. All right, go ahead and say something now, Brittany, and see. I feel like you're going to be loud.
Turd check. Turd check.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to be a little bit.
Too loud now.
Well, maybe not too loud. You might be just right. We'll have to see.
One of the videos I looked at, which was really good, I should have sent it to you prior, is it's the WTF files. And it says terrifying sounds from the sky being heard around the world. That was a really good video. Mm-hmm.
All over the world, a disturbing sonic phenomenon is
Now
disturbing
that's not
people
a
in rural
shofar,
areas to their very
but that
core.
still sounds
Mm.
wild.
Still
Although
crazy.
many have
Still
heard the
crazy.
sound,
It's still
no
crazy
one can
sounding. If you
seem to
think about
explain the
like
source.
all the all the UFO stuff that's coming out, and like
Right.
I know it's
Exactly.
been going on for about 10 years, but some of that stuff sounds not from here.
Right. Like.
Clearly in a different dimension or something.
Right. Yes. And dimensions. Let's talk about dimensions for a minute. I believe that there could be alternate dimensions that we just don't even see. Like we were having this conversation the other day about the pygmy shrimps that happen to see the world through 12, I believe it's 12 color receptacles, whereas human beings only see through, I believe it's 3, maybe 4 color receptacles. So it just means the way we interpret what we see looks the way it does. Now, they could look totally different. Something like, for instance, we could look at a rock and we only see a 3-dimensional figure when it really could be maybe 4-dimensional, 5-dimensional. It's hard to say.
Here's the only way I know. Like, here's how you explain it from like the heavens. I know it sounds crazy.
Okay.
Like you have the first heaven, which is, you know, where we are, if I get this right. Then you have the second heaven, which is like space.
Okay.
And then you have the third heaven where God sits. But could there be more? Yes. But I know from experience, I've heard things, or like just being in the, people don't understand that our Jesus Christ is a supernatural God. So I've heard things, and it's even though I'm like been on my front porch, like sometimes I would be sitting there at night, just real quiet, chilling, praying, sometimes just chilling, and I'll hear something that it's in front of me, but it's not in front of me. Does that make sense? Like
Sort
it
of
has
like
to be in another dimension.
right, like it sounds like it's emanating from in front of you, but there's nothing
Yeah,
there.
but it's not. There's nothing there, and you're
Right.
like, it's weird. Like in my bedroom, I don't know why it's the bedroom. And my husband, who's very skeptical, he's very much like you. Y'all are similar.
Mm-hmm.
He'll even tell you he's heard it.
Okay.
When he moved here, I can hear what sounds like an old record player. Like with the big old horn. What's that thing called?
Like yeah, I know what you're doing.
Something phone.
Like a gramophone.
Yes, I can hear that.
Wow.
And it's like not in the room, but I can hear it. And I used to tell, he's like, I don't hear it.
Right.
You're crazy. You're losing your mind. And finally he admitted, he's like, I hear that. He's like, do you hear two people having a conversation? I'm like, yes. Like it's in the room, but it's not in the same.
It's not there. It's like
dimension.
Right.
And when you try to explain it to someone, they think you're nuts. I know what I'm hearing. Can't explain where it's coming from.
Yeah, think of it. Think of
creepy, dude.
Think of it kind of like turning the books, turning the pages of a book. When as you're turning it, you can sort of see the next page before it actually appears to you, if that makes sense. Like if you're flipping through the pages, think of that kind of the same thing as the dimensions. It's there, but it's just it's like right onto, it's overlapping basically, but you can't see it. You can only see the page in front of you.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, but
it is very hard to explain, but it does exist, and I'm sure we all can relate to it.
What do you think about like the Bermuda Triangle, like stuff like that? That's like different dimensions, right?
I believe the Bermuda Triangle could be a gateway to interdimensional travel. And I think that necessarily what most people would like to say as extraterrestrial life or UFOs or aliens, what have you. I believe these are actually interdimensional beings. So they doesn't necessarily mean that they're that different than we are, but they're just from a different dimension than we are. So maybe in
I
their
was watching.
sorry, go ahead.
I was watching you. You said, you know, everybody's like extraterrestrial.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they are. Um, sorry, my controller died. You there?
Yep, I can hear you now.
How do you say they're celestial tech? Like, so that extra. It's hard to say. Extraterrestrial.
So
Whatever. You know
an
what I mean?
extra yes, so an extraterrestrial would be um so you and I, Brittany, we are terrestrial beings. So we are from um this planet, which we are a terrestrial being of this planet. So an extraterrestrial would mean they are not of this planet. That's where the extra comes in. Now, the way like I said, the way that I believe they're interdimensional beings. So they're from a different dimension, which would mean inter would mean that it's all combined, all one, and they're just you know
I believe that they're.
intertwining, let's say.
I don't know. I don't know how to be like. Have you seen like the things that like are going on in the sky? I've also watched a video like the Euphrates River drying up. Have you
Right.
watched any of that?
I didn't see about the river drying up. I did see, I believe it was in Saudi Arabia, the river that just appeared basically overnight. It appeared out of the sand, just water gushing. But
Yeah, yeah, I saw that.
tell us about the river, and I'll try to pull it up here. What was the name of it? Sorry, the
Euphrates. It's EU.
yep,
I think
Euphrates
R,
River.
right? Euphrates. Hrates. So, like, I can't help it. Everybody knows how I am. Hey, Mom. Can you hear me, Mom? Okay. Go sit down. So, look, just so everybody knows, it won't always be about the Bible or topics, but y'all know that's what I love the most. That's what I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm down for any conversations, but this just so happens to be biblical.
Right.
So the Euphrates River is in the Bible, and it talks about it drying up
Okay. Yeah, I got it on screen for us
for,
here now.
battle and all this, Armageddon and all that. So
Okay.
the Euphrates River has been dried up, and they have supposedly underneath the Euphrates River are angels that are locked up. I think it's angels. Let me pull up the scripture. I don't want to be wrong.
Okay. So now
And they're hearing noises like they're chained up.
mm-hmm.
And this is all biblical that they're going to be released in tribulation.
Okay.
Well, the Euphrates River is actually dried up, so that's a prophecy that just happened.
Okay.
But they got recordings of like it sounds like groaning and like chains, and they have found like because they had never been down there before. Now it's dried up. They're finding like prison cells and walkways that was under this river. And some of those sounds kind of sound like the sounds that are in the sky. It's weird.
Right. Okay. So there's a connection. You're saying there's a connection to the two.
Clearly something's going on.
It's clearly something. Okay. So I'm trying to pull up a better image here of the dried up the river actual dried up. All right, see if we can pull this up here. And their mushrooms are definitely kicking in. They're definitely starting to kick in. But yes, here is the things are starting to look double vision here. This is this is a little bit of the dried up river here. Some of the images.
Do they have any images that's like prior, like before it dried up?
Oh,
so we can know
okay,
the
yeah.
severity of how dry this is.
Right, let's see if we can find that. Yeah, I mean, like, here's a look of the river. Like, I mean, geez, it was a big difference, big difference.
All right, so look, in Revelation 9:14.
Okay, here's a before and after. Here's a before and after.
Oh,
right
you got
here.
one?
Yeah. I got it on screen now. Yep.
Oh, wow, look at that. There's a little delay for me, sorry.
Yep, that's okay.
Look at that.
Yeah, huge difference, huge difference.
So in the Bible, it says, it said to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates.
Mm-hmm.
So this is prophecy. So if you go into YouTube and look up the sounds from underneath the Euphrates River,
Mm-hmm.
it's creepy, musty.
So, sorry to cut you off there, Brittany. Sorry. So we're just gonna go a little off topic here for a minute, but if you do believe that these are angels that are locked up under the Euphrates River, what purpose do you believe that they would have for being locked up? Now, let me elaborate a little bit on that. Do you think is it a punishment as to why they are locked up, or do you think that maybe it's as a purposeful thing, like their purpose is to be waiting until that final judgment, until that battle? Go ahead.
Well, hold on.
Yep.
I'm always like afraid I'm going to say something wrong. If I'm wrong, correct me in the chat, please.
Oh no, there's and for everybody, this is just everything is opinionative. Everybody has their own opinion, and this is no way, shape, or form being nothing is right or wrong. Everything is an opinionative.
Well, before I speak into that, let's get why I think they're there.
Okay.
But let's start here. Okay, in the Old Testament, the river Euphrates was along the boundary of the Garden of Eden.
Okay.
So when God made his covenant with Abraham, he gave him the land from the Nile of the Euphrates. That's biblical.
Okay.
Some people are not going to like, some quote unquote religious Christians are not going to like what I'm about to say, because I'm going to talk about Enoch, the book of Enoch, which I've read.
Okay.
And he talks really like a lot about stars and the angels and little g gods and goddesses and all this other type of stuff. And it's like they took it out. But even in Enoch, first Enoch,
Mm-hmm.
it says in a 56.5 through 57.3, they're called the angels of punishment.
Okay.
And to turn to the east, to the, I don't even know that word, Parthians and Medes, and get them to attack Israel. This is very similar, for these angels are bound at the great river Euphrates. So it will be with punishment. They're going to carry out the tribulation.
Right,
is what they're going to do.
Right. So it's more
But
like,
you're asking, are they being punished?
no, I believe, yes. Are they? You do believe that they're
Well, yeah,
there
they're
as?
chained up for a reason.
You think that they're being punished for a reason, like acting out against God, maybe, or? Like, yeah,
Because
because
people, I've read so many different things. Because you got like what we was talking about the other day. You got the Watchers, and this is in Genesis chapter 6.
okay,
You had the Watchers, the angels that were supposed to watch over us.
hmm
They're angels. Okay, they can
right,
take on different forms. They can quote unquote what you call shapeshift.
right, okay. So let's
Well, they were supposed to watch us,
mhm,
and they looked at the daughters of men, human women,
mhm, with lust.
and with lust, and had an offspring called the Nephilim.
Okay,
So those 200 angels got punished, but they are locked up.
so it's basically
I don't know if they're locked up or they're just running around. I don't know if Mom wants to help me.
so basically what you're trying to say is that it could very well be some sort of a prison or a punishment for those disobedient entities or angels or what have you, that went against what they were supposed to do. So it's basically a punishment. It's basically a punishment, is what you're saying.
I don't know, because
Or
sometimes I've read stuff where they're the four avenging angels.
okay, so it could be open to interpretation. It could go kind of either
They're ready
way.
to fulfill their job is to kill the third of people on Earth, and they're chained up, being held back.
So they're supposed to. Okay, so they are basically going to call us, is what you're saying. Like they're going
They're
to.
going to kill the third of the population.
So that's what their purpose is to
That's what their
call
purpose is.
to
They're
call
going
the
to
earth.
kill. Call, yes.
Call, yes.
Call the Earth. Okay.
Okay, so basically
So,
what you're saying is when they're released, that's what their task
yes.
is. Okay. From a biblical standpoint, at least.
Yes.
Okay.
So, that's part of prophecy, that it's going to dry up. It's dried up. And now they have caught sounds.
Right. What are the sounds exactly?
It sounds like there's supernatural things underneath there groaning, and you can hear chains.
Let me see if I can pull this up here.
Have you been to Antarctica?
Yes.
Have the noises of the
Okay, let's see here. Okay, do we got it? Yes.
four fallen angels bound underneath the Euphrates River been recorded? Or maybe the scorpion-type beast that will be released from the earth when the bottomless pit is opened in Revelation 9. Video recently has surfaced of what's allegedly archaeologists digging at the Euphrates River site where it's been dried up, and the video claims to have recorded the noises of these fallen angels or the beasts that are trapped within the bottomless pit. I'll play this video and then we'll look more deeply into it.
Like a clanking.
Yeah, it's creepy. I don't think it's a train.
No, but you could.
Sound like a train.
You can definitely hear the clinking.
You didn't hear like the.
Oh no, I hear the growling and stuff as well. Some of the growling actually kind of sounds like feline, like almost. Do you know how like if you hear a cat, like a big cat growl, similar?
Right. Well, I've never personally heard a big cat growl, but I'm just trying to think. Here's my thing,
Okay.
and like it's all opinion.
So I must point out that
How much more proof do people need?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's
Well,
all this stuff going on, and it's like everybody tries to find no. And I'm so for debunking because the Apostle Paul says to test everything. I don't
right.
care who says it, what spirit, what teaching, whatever. But like, I don't think half the people even know this is going on. I don't
Right.
think people realize what's going on in the sky. I don't,
Well, just all
and it's
around us.
about
What's
to get
happening all
crazy.
around us.
Yeah.
Right. We're so.
Like, aren't y'all the one that has that beam or whatever, that laser, that where you're at?
The
You know
laser.
what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
See, look, all right, so everybody knows, a few years ago, everybody knows I follow Jesus, okay? Everybody knows that. Jesus is my everything.
Right.
But for years, I've been saying stuff about certain things, and everybody laughed at me, called me a quote unquote conspiracy, you know what I'm saying? Okay, now this stuff's popping up. So I think it's in Canada, and I think this is going to be a part of the aliens coming back, the whatever they're trying to do. I think it's called the Blue Beam Project or Blue Beam Laser.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Blue. It's Blue Hood or Blue something. Yeah. Yeah.
It's blue something.
Yes, I know, but I do kind of know a little bit of what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like,
Is it
do you
the
think
stuff with Bob Lazar and stuff like that? Is that what you're talking about?
I know this laser has the capability. I know this laser has the capability of putting a hologram in the sky,
Okay.
and it looks real
Okay.
from far distances. So
Project
who's to say they're
Bluebeam.
not going to put Jesus Christ, quote unquote, their Jesus in the clouds or an alien or whatever it is? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. Like everything that we see or we have seen is basically all man-made, right? It's as far as that goes. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to what you're trying to say. What you're trying to say is how does um in the world we live in now with like I say CGI, all this stuff that is like right in front of us. It's to see something like that in the sky, and we go back to let's go back to the caveman day, or the quote unquote, beginning of time. They see something like that. That is obviously the first time they've seen anything like that. That would be a
Right.
big, huge thing. It would be revelational, right? Like it would be eye-opening, right? Now, if we were to see
it would be godlike.
exactly,
That's what it would be.
right, and that could have been like you're saying now, we have the technology to create that. An entity in that time might have had a similar technology to create that as well.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, well, let's get into this. Like the pyramids.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? I don't know a whole lot about the pyramids. My husband does.
I do know a fair bit. Yes.
Aren't they like perfectly aligned up at like a certain point with a constellation or something like
So
that?
there's a lot of different things that you can do with the pyramids, but yes, you can measure the distance from Earth to the sun using the pyramid. You can measure out our whole solar system with the pyramids. There's also it's also it was built in the direct center of the landmass of the Earth, not the center of the Earth, but the center of the land mass of the Earth.
Right. So let's go back during that time.
Mm-hmm.
When were they built?
Well, we don't really know, but thousands and thousands of years ago.
Okay. How would they know that?
Right. Exactly.
So somebody had some type of technology like that. Would you agree?
I would agree that you have to for them to be built, you would have to have technology. You wouldn't be able to the quote unquote, you know, hand and pulley, carts and pulley techniques, this and that. I don't
Right, but for
believe.
them to be positioned where they are
Mhm.
perfectly, how would they have known that?
Right. They wouldn't have. They wouldn't have.
Somebody had some different type of technology or knowledge.
Right.
Would you agree?
I would agree.
I think the Nephilim, the giants that we talked about in Genesis,
Hmm.
built those pyramids. And the angels that took the women on for their wives and had an offspring, the fathers of the daughters, it says they exchanged it for information.
Okay.
So Enoch says, don't quote me, look it up later, because I don't know. Enoch walked with God. Okay? Enoch's the first person to be raptured.
Okay.
Like he came back and realized God told Enoch everything. He showed him everything.
Okay.
And he came back for a certain time, and then it said Enoch was there, and then he was no more. To me, that sounds like he was abducted. He was abducted. That's
Right.
what you want to say. Christian says rapture. The rest of the world might notice he was abducted. He was there.
He was there and then gone. Yeah. Like, yes, exactly. Yeah.
He got on.
Yeah.
It's over with. Enoch, turd flying in the wind. I don't know where he went.
Yeah. Exactly.
But he says there's other gods, little g gods.
Mm-hmm.
There's other, and they have powers, and they had technology, and they knew all these things and had all this knowledge. It was way ahead. It's angelic
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like it's power and technology, and
Well, sorry.
they gave up their daughters for the information.
Okay. Sorry to cut you off there, Britt, but let's think of this real quick. Let's think of the human mind, okay? Now, just for an example, we want to scratch our nose, okay? So to scratch, to no, let's for our
No, I'm trying
brain,
not to scratch my nose now because you said it.
for our brain to tell our body through, because it has to send a message down through our nervous system, for our arm to now reach up and scratch our nose right now. But why? What's above that is what I'm trying to say. There's
Your
obviously,
eyeballs?
well, like obviously your cell, or
He's over here going to be tripping, scratching his face for 8 hours.
the cells in your when you tell yourself your brain tells yourself to scratch your nose. Now those neural pulses or whatever in your brain go out and do their job. Basically, they're telling what your hands what to do. But that consciousness, where does that come from? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
It comes from God.
right, but how through that consciousness we can tell our subnactus what to do, but what's telling us what? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's making that tick? So if you look at it, so what I'm trying to say here is, if you look at it from a standpoint of
Yeah, but are we talking physical and now moral consciousness type of thing?
Well, like we tell our brain says do the things that we want you to do, like I say, lift your arm up and stuff like this. It has to be cells in your brain that have to process that information and put it out in order for it to work. Now, it's like basically a whole universe going on in your brain to make your body do what it does. All these thousands and thousands of hundreds of thousands of cells that are all doing things all at once and what have you. But it's all connected to your consciousness, right?
Right.
So what if the universe is all just one consciousness? So everything happening, whether it be big planet, a ball of gas, Jupiter spinning around, or little tiny minute earthlings on Earth walking around doing their daily lives, drinking cups of coffee, going to work, all this stuff. But all this is happening on a bigger consciousness. Do you get what I'm saying? Everything we do is being brought down through a bigger, something greater.
God.
Which, yes, you could call God. You could call.
Yeah. But here's the way I look at it. Let's do it from a moral standpoint.
Okay.
Okay. Because I know Satanists, I know atheists, I know people from different religions or not, agnostic, whatever. But they all have the same moral
compass.
Compass. Yes.
Right. Like they know right from wrong.
They know right from wrong, whether they believe in God or they don't. And here's the thing: I watched a video today, and the girl was like saying that Christians only act good because of God tells them to be good. And that's not a good argument, because I know people that don't follow God and are amazing people, Musty. I mean, they know stealing is wrong. They know murder is wrong. They know to help out a fellow friend. Our moral compasses are the same. Now tell me why that's so.
Now, okay.
Because somebody created us, and it says that God made us in his image, which people think it's what you look like. No, it's in his likeness. So we all have the same moral compass.
Right.
Now, whether you choose to accept that and follow Christ and then get the Holy Spirit, which is different, which means, you want to be like God. You want to please God. So you're going to do things, because none of us are actually technically good. If you look at a God standpoint, we're all sinners.
Right.
But we all still have the same moral compass, and it comes from him, and he's the creator of the entire universe. I don't know how he did it.
Right.
We're going to spend eternity talking to him.
It's
going to take an eternity to
even get close, to comprehend the whole.
We can't even comprehend.
Like, we try to think.
But I think you got a point. Like, why do we all have this thing in our brain controls? It sends a signal to do this and do that, and.
But why? Yes, but why?
Everything.
Right.
Why? Because we're living, and I don't understand. I can't tell you. I know my God is a big God. I know that he's real. I got way too much evidence. I've had too much experience to know that he's real. But I don't have all the answers.
No.
And I don't think we'll ever have the answers until we're in his presence. And he's so big, it's going to take eternity to understand that.
And here's another.
If we had to understand God, our heads would explode.
Here's another thing. Like,
yeah,
well, exactly. And it's like we do these things so that our minds can comprehend. Like, I'll give you an example. We refer to God as him, as a person.
Yes.
And we do that to be able to comprehend the fact that of what we're trying to say, like what we're trying to, instead of that, otherwise you're just grasping at straws, right? But it's hard to just picture God or an entity as everything, right? It's hard to picture that, like, and to put it into, like you say, to comprehend it. It's very.
I guess I want to know in the chat, anybody who's watching. For me, it's hard because I have something that you can't explain, and God has always been with me. And I was telling someone that a few weeks ago. I don't know what it's like to not know God, to not have this relationship, to have this knowing, this awareness, to be completely like, I have no idea if there's a God, if there's not a God, how we were created, and then have to seek him that has to be hard. I've never really had to seek
Right.
God.
Right.
He's
He's
always
always
just
been
kind of
with
been
you.
with me.
Got you. What you're saying, like in your heart.
And, yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like, people ask you, like, what's your testimony? Like, you're supposed to have this big moment that you didn't know God and you fall down and you have this encounter and,
Like,
you know,
yeah,
you
right.
follow. I didn't have that.
Right.
So I thought, yeah, so I don't have, like, I can't explain it. I just know he's always
It's like
been with me.
it's a second nature. It's just you just know. You don't even have to
Well, my
think
mom
about it.
prayed for me.
Mhm.
Like, before I was ever born, before I was ever conceived, she was like, Lord, if you give me this child, I give her to you to do your will. And I know it sounds creepy. He's always been with me.
Mhm.
I've always felt it. And I kind of respect people who don't have that and they have to go on this wild journey
Right. Like
of, you know,
enlightenment and whatnot. Yes.
yeah. And like, the Jesus Revolution. Have you seen that movie?
Which one, sorry?
Like, it's called Jesus Revolution, and it was back in like the 70s.
No, I have
And
not.
I don't know his name. Oh, it's an awesome movie. Well, all these hippies like they were looking for something. They were looking for the answers to stuff we're talking about. And what's funny is they were using psychedelics.
Which, yeah, that's where
They
I'm
would
at.
That's
But
where
yeah.
you're at. I think it's really cool. Jesus Revolution. It's free. It's on I believe Netflix right now. But they would do they were barefooted and they were trying to get the answers of the universe while we're here, but they were seeking Jesus, just didn't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were using all these psychedelics, and when they would get on them, they would start feeling like the euphoric feelings and start having this different type of consciousness, like where God, and the guy understood that, and he went to the church people, and they're like, we don't want these hippies here. They ain't got no shoes on. They're druggies. They're dirty. Well, the guy ends up opening his church. All the religious people get mad. They stopped using psychedelics because they were actually welcomed in and started having their own like real encounters with the Holy Spirit. And I just think it's cool, like someone like you, like you're literally doing that right now. You just don't even realize you're doing it.
Like they say, what is a church? It's a temple, right? It's a temple of worship. What's between what's between the temples on our head? Like if you're looking at the human head, we have a temple on either side. That's our temple.
Right.
And it's our brain. So we don't need.
I get what and it makes sense.
It's like a crutch. It's like a crutch, basically.
Well, no, I've never seen see how you just said that? Like other people might be listening to you and be like, this dude is bugging. He's like, well, it's a temple. There's two on each side. Dude, that's actually very deep because we are born of, what is it, body, spirit, and soul.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And
well, they say body, mind, and soul, I think. Body, mind, and soul.
Body, spirit, and soul.
Well,
so we all have a body.
Isn't spirit and soul the same thing?
No, they're two different things, actually.
Okay, sorry.
The soul is your mind. It is your mind, your will, and your emotions. That's technically what the soul is. Okay. Like when I do deliverance on people, or people have quote unquote demons, unless some people don't believe in it, but it's true. They attack the soul.
Okay.
It's their mind, their will, their emotion. Think about it: depression, schizophrenia, things like that, anxiety.
Right.
And that's where they go. But you have a spirit. Everybody has a spirit.
Okay.
Because we are made in God's image. Guess what? God the Father is spirit.
Okay.
So it makes sense, like you said, your temples of your mind. Well, I know when the enemy goes to attack certain believers or non-believers. It's in their mind, which is your soul, is your mind, your will, and your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So, me knowing Jesus, I understand that I am a temple.
Mm-hmm.
I am a temple. I am a temple. Because of Jesus Christ and the covenant that He has made with me. But someone who doesn't know Jesus or doesn't know God, the Father, I like how you put that. It's like they're
So
reaching for different
right,
things
so
in their
these
mind.
right, so these churches and whatnot, the actual structures that are built by men and women, by hands, they are almost like a symbol in a way, like
It's just a building, brother.
it's just a building.
That's all those are. It's just a building. Old Testament, different. Old Testament, Jesus didn't come. That's Old Covenant. You got to think Old Testament, Old Covenant, New Testament, New Covenant. Old Testament was fallen man, we became sinners. God cannot dwell with sin because He has to judge it and judge it righteously. We was never meant to sin,
Okay.
but Adam and Eve did. So that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So now He's trying to figure out a way to get His children, His people, to be back to Him, to commune with Him. So what they used to do back in the day, they had a high priestess, and there was a temple, and you would go once a year and get an animal, and it was nasty, it was gross, and they would slaughter an animal on a bronze altar
Mm-hmm.
to because there has to be bloodshed. That's how God designed it. God's not changing. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. It is what it is, but there has to be bloodshed for sin, because for the wages of sin is death. So that's Old Testament. You had to do the animal. Remember, like you're probably thinking, why don't we sacrifice animals anymore?
Right.
They was doing goats and out the hoo-ha, whatever, in the first beginning of the Bible. Why don't we do that? Because it was temporary. You could go for an entire year, go have the high priestess do this on a bronze altar.
Mm-hmm.
And if you walked outside the temple, stomped your toe, and cussed God, said His name in vain, you were in trouble. You had to wait an entire year to do it again. You better hope you don't die.
Right.
It was hard. They couldn't keep up with the laws. New Testament, Jesus Christ, which is the Word of God,
Mm-hmm.
came down and became flesh. He's 100% human, 100% God. He stepped down off His throne to save us. So He walked the earth, fulfilled the 613 Mosaic laws, and died our death.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
It's wild. And people are trying to, figure out, like.
So basically.
So He tells the religious people, this is my whole point, sorry. He tells the religious people,
Mm-hmm.
the religious people are the ones that was crucifying Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
The religious people.
Right. Well, exactly.
He tells them, I'm going to destroy your temple. This is the whole point about the building and not the building.
Right.
They had a building, an actual building. He says, I'm going to destroy your temple and I'm going to rebuild it in 3 days. And they laughed because they're thinking with they're thinking with their physical minds. They're thinking, you can't tear this down and
Mm-hmm.
rebuild it in 3 days. It's impossible.
Right.
But when He died on the cross, He became that sacrificial lamb for us.
I get.
It's
yeah.
done. And then He tells Peter, you're the temple. I'm going to build my church on this foundation. So anybody that tells you, oh, this building, no, we are the church. We are the temple,
Mm-hmm.
the believers.
Right.
So let me ask you this. What's it like? I don't know. I'm going to be blunt. Can I be blunt?
Yeah, you can be blunt.
What's it like not knowing if God is who He is, or who He says He is?
Well, in a way, you're.
But like you said, you got a brain, you got thoughts, you got a
Mm-hmm.
consciousness. What is that like?
For me personally, you're always, and I think a lot of people are the same way. you always want to know, it's curiosity. Um, you always want to know more. Um, and like
Do you
there's
want to know why we're here, or are you more afraid of what happens after you die? Like,
I
which one is it, or is it both?
well, I mean there can be a little bit of both. There can be a little bit of both, but then that thought and that is thinking in a bodily in your bodily sense, like my body's only going to be here so long, so what happens to me when I'm gone, like you watch family members and loved ones live their life and die and whatnot, and you wonder what happens when they're gone. That it's a curiosity thing in a way, so you don't have the answers, but you're searching for more for answers, right?
Right. You did talk about before that you did believe in reincarnation, right?
Yes, so I'll talk a little bit about that. So I believe, personally, I like to think I believe at least in some kind of reincarnation, and that also ties into what I was saying before about interdimensional and the different dimensions. So I personally, I will speak on an experience of mine. My ex-wife, her father, my ex-father-in-law, rest his soul. Uh, After he was gone, I could still feel his presence in certain senses, like almost like the hair on the back of your neck stands up and
Right.
stuff like this, and you can feel that presence. So, but you can't see them because they're not in. I think that they're in a different dimension, or maybe in the in between of dimensions, and that you can still feel their energy, and it's it's still there. And I also
Right.
I also think that time can work differently in different dimensions.
Like for me, I was talking about this with people because of my beliefs and what's to come.
Hmm.
And I'm looking at the world around me, and I'm looking at all these prophecies that I can't. I mean, God's always been with me, but I mean, I can't deny it. I'm like, look,
Hmm.
how, how? But I do know, like, I can feel, and I believe it is just being um, in relation with the Creator,
Hmm.
the one who created the universe and everything. But I can feel like time has sped up. It's weird. I can feel like certain shifts on like specific days, or I'm like something in another dimension has shifted, and I can physically feel it.
Yeah,
It's really weird.
that is really weird. And like this is, well, from a standpoint of um so okay, like if you want to say heaven is a place, okay. Let's just argue here for a second. Let's just say
Right.
that heaven is a place, right? So that you die and now you ascend to heaven, or your soul is now a part of heaven, right? But you think
Mm-hmm.
each year that goes by, we double or if not triple the number of people, physical flesh and blood biological machines that are on this planet. The number keeps doubling if not tripling every year, right?
Right.
So if that's the case, each one of those new people, like this year it was, let's say this year it was 20, next year it's 40, the year after that it's 80, right? But
Well, let's give actual like statistics. 150,000 people die a day, every
right,
day.
right, okay,
150,000 people.
right. So now if you want to like say that you're in heaven and all your loved ones will be there and whatnot, now you got to, there's also 150,000 other souls that are there as well, plus all the other souls that are there from all the years of people dying and whatnot, right? It's hard to
Well,
comprehend, right? Where is
biblically,
the space
they're
for it,
sleeping.
right?
Well, God created space and time and matter.
Right.
It's in the first sentence of the
But
Bible.
that
See what I'm saying?
from
But it
a
says we're sleeping right now.
mm-hmm.
So what are you saying? Like heaven's gonna get overcrowded?
Well, I'm just saying from a perspective standpoint. Yeah, like
Yes, from your perspective, yes, it would seem like, man, all these years, and there's just this one, because you're thinking of matter, time, and space. That's what you're thinking.
mm-hmm.
And you're like, all these people, the rooms just, heaven can't be that big. But what I know, unfortunately, is majority of people that's walked this earth are not in heaven. They're actually in hell.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jesus says only a few are going to make it.
And
so
well,
really,
I mean, on this,
my brain's like, well, how big is hell?
exactly on the opposite end of the coin. How big is hell? Because in the same breath, it's just it's even if you try to picture
a bunch of different dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
Like this dimension gets full, then the next dimension, then the next dimension. Like it's endless.
Mm-hmm.
Or should we say bottomless?
Well, yeah. Well, I think that
I know that either way, I think it's awesome that you're willing to have a
mm-hmm.
conversation.
Yes, the
You know what I'm saying?
conversations.
Just talk about it.
Let's have the conversations. And speaking of, we're a little over past an hour here now, so I think we'll wrap this one up.
Are you seeing quadruple now?
A little bit. I am kind of feeling quite nice.
What would you do if you had an encounter with Jesus Christ after we got off of here?
I don't know what I would do. I mean, I'd probably be enlightened. It's hard to say. Hard to say what I would physically do.
Oh man, I would tremble and like fall to my face. No, this is fun, and I want to talk about more stuff. Like, so I know we're about to end this.
Mm-hmm.
Before we end, let's talk about some of the things that we want to talk about on this Turd Talk show.
Okay.
Like, I have an idea, and I don't know if the chat wants to say, yeah, I'd like to talk about that. But I was thinking, and we have to be careful because you kept trying to, but I'm a dork. You know, you kept saying call, and I was like, is he a bird? Call. Like,
Cull. C-U-L-L. Cull.
Cull.
Yeah.
So there's gonna have to be certain words, but
mm-hmm.
what we all just went through, you know what I'm talking about, 2019, 2020.
Right.
Everything shutting down, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about how that affected you, how it affected maybe your mindset, finances, family, marriage. I mean, it was like the world stopped and it was nuts. And then,
like spun us on our side kind of thing, you know?
Yeah,
sure.
But are you prepared if it happens again?
Mm-hmm.
Did it cause people to start preparing? What if this happens again?
Right. I get what you're saying.
If you are thinking that way, what would you do? Or what are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's talks for another day, for sure. For sure. And this has been Turd Talks with Musty and Brittany, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
And we will.
Oh, and in the comments section, if you're hitting replay or whatever it is, or watching now, give us some ideas of what you all want us to talk about.
Right. Because this is for everybody. We're talking turds for everybody, and turds is just a metaphor for the things that we want to discuss and things we should be talking about, and not everybody wants to be the one who shines a light first, right? So we're gonna be that catalyst to you can talk through us.
Right, like we're gonna talk about it.
For sure.
I don't care what it is. I'm tired of being silent. We're gonna talk about it, whatever it is.
We're gonna talk
hard topics.
Hard topics. Yep. Whatever. No matter what it is, we will talk about it. And like I said, this has been Turd Talks, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all stay safe. Take care. God bless.
God bless y'all. Jesus loves you.